this is Julie Pringle and this is my demonstration speech. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to make cinnamon rolls. And cinnamon rolls are my family's favorite treat, and they are much easier to make than you think. So first I'm going to get all of my supplies and ingredients together. And you will need a large bowl and a small bowl. I have a mixing spoon, a butter knife and a sharp knife, a liquid measuring cup, a 1 cup dry measuring cup, some measuring spoons, and a rolling pin. And then for the ingredients, I use Pillsbury's hot roll mix to make the dough. And this just makes it a lot easier than having to do everything from absolute scratch. But yet they still taste like you've made them from scratch. And then butter measured out here for the cinnamon rolls as well as the frosting, and an egg. And then I have my brown sugar, white sugar, some flour for dusting the surface, and some butter for spreading onto the cinnamon rolls. So let's go ahead and get started. I have already poured the dry mixture into the bowl from the box, and then we're going to open up the yeast. And you want to make sure that you check the expiration date on the box of the hot roll mix so that the yeast is not expired, because it needs to be fresh, or otherwise the dough will rise. And then you're just going to mix that in. And then just follow the directions on the box, and it calls for 2 tablespoons of butter and an egg. And then on the side of the box, it has a special recipe for cinnamon rolls, and it suggests adding 2 tablespoons of white sugar. So I have that here already measured out. And then we're just going to mix all of this up. And we need to add a cup of very hot water. And the water needs to be hot to the touch, or the yeast won't grow. And you don't want it to be too hot, or it will kill the yeast. So it needs to be just right. Take a little while for the water to heat up since it's so cold outside. Okay, we just need a cup of water. And you pour that right into the bowl, and then mix everything up real well. And it will be very sticky once it gets mixed up. But you want to make sure you scrape the sides and you get that egg beat in well, and the softened butter there will melt with the hot water. Get that all mixed up, scrape the bottom, sides, and as you can see, it's very sticky. So we're going to just flour the surface here, and you can use a pastry mat if you have one. I just use the counter here and make sure I've cleaned it off real well before I start. And just dust the surface and then put in a couple handfuls of flour into the bowl so you can get the dough out without having it stick to everything. And as you can see, it makes a very nice mess, but it will be well worth it. And we're just going to knead that dough to get everything mixed up in there. And we need to knead it for about 5 minutes, and that helps the dough to rise. So you can continue to dust the surface here as you knead as it gets stickier. And then you're just going to knead it. And you just push down and forward and roll it back. And you can switch hands, and you just continue doing that for about 5 minutes. Once you've done that and it's all set, then you're just going to cover it with a bowl to keep it warm and let it rise for about 5 minutes. Okay, so while the dough is rising here, we're going to go ahead and make the filling. So you're going to take your small bowl, and I have a cup of packed brown sugar already measured out, and you just put that in the bowl. And then a tablespoon of cinnamon, and we'll just pop that in there. And if your family likes nuts, you can add nuts, a 1/4 cup of either chopped pecans or chopped walnuts, whichever you would prefer. And you can just mix this up with your hands, make sure that you get the sugar unpacked and get the cinnamon mixed in there real well. And once you've done that, you just set that aside. And we'll go back over to our dough that has been resting for about 5 minutes. And as you can see, it's starting to grow. And we will dust our surface again real well with flour. And our rolling pin too. And then we're just going to roll out the dough so it's nice and flat, and it's about 12 inches, 12 by 12, somewhere in there. Sometimes it's a little difficult with the yeast in it, trying to fight it to stay where it needs to go. Once you have that all rolled out, then you're going to butter the dough, and you can use regular butter or you can use any type of spread. Today I'm going to use this honey spread. I've never tried it before, but I can't imagine it would be horrible. Add us a few more calories probably. And you can put as much butter on as you'd like. My family likes them nice and gooey, so I do load up with the butter and the brown sugar and cinnamon. And once you've got that done, then you're just going to sprinkle on your brown sugar and cinnamon. Cinnamon rolls are a great treat in the wintertime especially. I like to make them with chili or any type of soup. Great for Bronco Sunday. And you just want to make sure you get this spread out all the way around the edges. And then you're just going to roll it. Start with one end and just roll it into a jelly roll. And as you can see, we have a little bit of stickiness going on there, so the more flour you can use, the better. And then once we have that all rolled up, just pinch the ends closed so the filling doesn't come out. And then you're just going to slice those into about 1 inch, 1.5 inch slices. And place those into a pre-greased 9 by 13 pan, and you may need 2. And you just do about three across, leave a little bit of space because they will rise and get rather large. And then you're going to let these rise until they're doubled in size, and it's about 30 to 45 minutes. You want to set them somewhere warm, so this is a good time to turn on the oven, preheat it to 375, and place the pan on the top of the stove with a cover, maybe a dish towel or plastic wrap so that they can rise in a nice warm place. And once those have risen, they will be about double in size. It'll look something like this. And then you're going to place them into a 375-degree oven for about 20 minutes. You don't want them to get too brown because you want them to be nice and gooey. So those have risen, and we will finish the rest of these. While the rest of them are rising, you can go ahead and make your icing for the tops. And I use a very easy recipe, just a quarter stick of softened butter. I use a teaspoon of vanilla. Put that in there. And then I use 2 cups of powdered sugar. And I pre-measured this powdered sugar. There's 2 cups in there, and we'll just pop that in there. And you probably have a little extra frosting left over. You can use it for sugar cookies or any other type of dessert that calls for frosting. It's just a very simple buttercream frosting. And you're just going to mix it up. You can add a little milk if it seems to be too dry. And we will add a little milk to that. And once that's done, just set it aside. And then we'll wait for the hot rolls to come out of the oven. Once your cinnamon rolls are baked, you can ice them. This simple cinnamon roll recipe takes less than an hour and a half to make, and the smell of these freshly baked treats will have your family running to the kitchen.